Ladies and gents, you lovely human beings, the complete government very quickly could very well be on a public ledger or a blockchain. I gotta say, when I first noticed that information headline, I become pretty excited. You guys ought to be too, because this is going to provide even extra transparency around authorities, and the spending, which we have come to discover, is a big hassle. But furthermore, something that I recognize will talk to all of you lovely people, that is going to be actually first-rate for XRP and the crypto industry as an entire. It's showing how this generation can be used in authorities as a way to ensure which you and me have better representation, okay? And so, sure, there's quite a few outstanding pieces of news to speak about in state-of-the-art video. We're going to dive deeper into the difficulty I simply mentioned. However, first I want to communicate approximately the economy, because China's in loads of problem, okay? And with the US-China change conflict heating up, price lists being the talk across the whole country proper now, this is really something that we're going to want to pay attention to due to the fact inside the event that China and the US maintain the war that they may be having right now, there might be big consequences on both facets. Admittedly, it is likely going to be lots worse for China. I'll give an explanation for why. And well, yes, it can probably spell some hassle for cryptocurrency inside the brief time period, which I additionally do want to convey for your men attention. But first, let's communicate approximately how China's housing market is continuing to fall. We can see if fees of newly constructed houses in China plummeted through 5.7% in December, near the most inside the ultimate 10 years. And existing home charges dropped 8.1%, one of the biggest declines in at the least 14 years. Home sales in China have declined for over 2 years since the real estate marketplace bubble burst in 2021. Meanwhile, belongings investments tumbled 10.6%, suggesting more weakness ahead. Property sales and new creation starts off-evolved fell 12%, 9% and 23% respectively, closing YR. China's actual property marketplace is collapsing. Now, why is this any such big deal for the worldwide economic system? Well, Chinese investors, their primary invested asset magnificence is the actual property marketplace. So when you see that they are getting absolutely decimated on this manner, it is a traumatic signal due to the fact there's quite a few Chinese wealth that is caught up in a collapsing industry. So what does this probably suggest? It's going to mean that a number of bankruptcies, loads of stimulus is going to be wanted within the Chinese financial system on the way to make certain that they live afloat. You see, if we hold the equal trajectory, this has been taking place proper now in China, we are going to see a ton of various banks revel in a totally similar crisis to the 2008 to 2009 financial crisis inside the United States of America. We all know how that ended up. The Fed needed to bail all of us out. They needed to print trillions of bucks. That resulted in big inflation and a big monetary recession, which did ultimate a respectable amount of time. And I'm projecting that due to what we're experiencing here with China, they are going to look something very much like this. And of path, the tariffs that the USA have imposed on China are simplest, including extra pressure to their already extraordinary susceptible financial system. And China is the quantity economic system inside the global. And sure, they've more or less flatlined within the final couple of years. But I gotta say, with all of this information that I've shared with you men here these days, it's looking like they may begin shrinking their length in their economic system when you additionally bear in mind the fact that they're going to be experiencing populist crumble at the very same time as, of course, deflation, the real property marketplace collapsing, and all the greater pressure from price lists approaching pinnacle of that. And so a number of people are asking me what will occur with shares, what is going to manifest with crypto because of all of this. And I do suppose that it's miles very feasible. As soon as this all plays out with China closer to the end of this year, the sector might be going to be entering into a very steep correction, similarly to what we noticed returned in 2022, which performs out perfectly with the monetary cycles which might be currently taking region inside the United States of America as nicely. So we're going to have to hold our eyes tied to this, because this could spell basically precisely when that crumble is going to be occurring, so we recognize when to get our money out. I'll keep keeping you men tuned in on that. Make certain you are subscribed so you don't pass over all my updates at some point of this year that may be supplying you with men a sincerely sturdy indication whilst matters are about to hit the fan. You can also see that the FDIC is revising pointers. That's going to allow banks to have interaction in crypto sports. I went over this very in short, my live stream But this development is part of an ongoing shift-taking location within the United States. With the arrival of the pro-crypto Trump administration, and the government has sought to completely overhaul its regulations in the direction of the asset magnificence, which is going to permit banks to start widely adopting this. And the Bank of America CEO has come out and stated the instant these guidelines are in location, they're going to be going loopy. And so, sure, I do think that this bull run still has a lot greater room to head. We're genuinely now not at the cease of this bull run. We, without a doubt, do have a nice runway all through this year, because that is going to allow trillions of greenbacks to enter into the crypto marketplace. And so this is something you simply want to get organized for. Now, speaking of policies, Ripple SEC, I need to share with you guys an extremely good tidbit of news that turned into simply published nowadays, in fact, just about an hour ago. The trial attorney who signed the Ripple versus SEC case has formally resigned. Yes, the SEC versus Ripple case is basically over. Do with this situation have become reassigned. They may be getting moved across. The legal professional who commenced this case is actually resigning. He is stepping out. Men, that's crazy. You understand why he is resigning? Well, he is resigning so that the new SEC chair and anybody else is going to be a part of it can't fireplace him due to the fact when you're fired from a central authority position, just like the SEC right here, that means which you can't reapply inside the future. So he's basically saving face by resigning now, because he is aware of he is going to get fired due to the fact this example is going to get thrown out. This is probably the maximum exciting news I've seen in a bit while. It's literally just, we are counting the days now. We're counting the times for the new SEC chair to essentially just assessment this case, throw it out the window and flow on with our lives. Furthermore, we are able to see that Brad Garlinghouse is anticipated to be decided on for an advisory function at the White House Crypto Council. Now, this become honestly positioned out inside the form of a piece of writing from none apart from the New York Post. And we can see that there's a ton of demand for Brad Garlinghouse to be the fellow. You realize it makes loads of experience. Number one, we know how properly connected Brad Garlinghouse already is with Trump. They've had a couple of calls. They had a dinner with Trump, amongst many other specific activities that the chief legal officer has attended with Trump as properly. I do not assume there's absolutely everyone better than Brad Garlinghouse to do that. And properly, I assume there is sincerely even extra of a possible opportunity based off of something else that I have visible, which I'm going to expose you certainly in just a second. I want to talk about the United States Treasury, okay? Basically, Elon Musk has been absolutely tearing aside the spending of the United States government. Most appreciably these days, what's been everywhere in the information is USAID, or USA Useful Resource. That whole organization is getting exposed for implausible quantities of corruption proper, and this has brought on Elon Musk to make some of statements. However, in all likelihood, the most thrilling one is how he's now in complete aid of putting US Treasury transactions on a blockchain for complete transparency. And if you additionally do that for actually all different publics,